I think of TU as a place of possibilities.
Kind of grounded me as a person, not just University of Tulsa, but just the people of Tulsa.
Just know that the community really appreciates what the school does here in Tulsa.
The University of Tulsa has been one of the greatest gifts I ever had, to be educated here, to be able to build community here, to be able to lay a foundation for a career here.
I had always had an interest in the law and law enforcement, which I believe was nurtured by my grandfather, who became a district judge. Simultaneously, I was hooked on the old television series FBI.
The FBI.
Starring Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. So a law degree was always in my sights. Criminal justice studies at TU seemed like an obvious path.
I was a business major at TU, and I chose to go more on finance. And I think from the education standpoint, it's very practical to what I did later, because David Moffett, who I work with, he just sort of stuck me in an office and he said, we do this thing called asset liability management. It's kind of a new area. Why don't you think about that and think about, how do you think we should do that? I started thinking about it in terms of portfolio theory, which is classes that I had with actually Mike Terrell and Richard Burgess.
So being at TU, I really felt that it was also a place of forward possibilities, like just very forward thinking. In grad school, I was selected to be the graduate assistant for Dr. Hisrich. And Dr. Hisrich had just started the Entrepreneurial Studies Department. And then I also started a company mid-semester with Dr. Hisrich. It was H&D Associates. I clearly felt a sense of gender parity because we were partners literally all the way through.
TU gave me my first opportunity to serve the community. I was an economics student in economics class. Dr. Steve Stibe had us on a service project, and what we were doing, we were preparing taxes for folks who couldn't afford tax preparation. Because this is a university that's not just about academic success, which we are, top 100 university, but it's also about getting involved in the life of the community overall. I think the other thing was the unique role of being a student athlete. When I got here, we were 1-11. I think we were competing for one of the longest losing streaks in the country. And when I left here a conference champion and a bowl champion. The level of confidence that gave me while I was here was incredibly impactful to me. And again, it just kind of, in some ways, in a small way, showed what are the possibilities here at this university.
Myself and two fellow criminal justice students dared each other to apply to the Tulsa Police Department. It was very exciting. I loved doing it. But after a while, the stress just was not fitting my personality. The opportunity to join my brother and father at their oil company was always available. And we did that for a few years and then struck out on my own and started my own oil and gas company with the blessings of my wife, Sarah.
The way Friends of Finance started was that Roger Bai was a finance professor there. He had this kind of idea of connecting the business community to the finance department. And he called Bruce Curry and me, and he said, hey, I got this idea. I want to see if you guys would sort of get this thing organized. Had some papers we started scribbling out, what should be the mission of this thing, and, let's aim high, let's create an ambition, a high ambition for the university, for the finance department, for the students, for the professors, for their research, to go back and actually, at the beginning of the meeting, they read the mission statement. It's like, wow, that's cool, that's still there, and then to see it's actually happening, it's actualized.
I mean, I met him when I was 23. He's a gem of gems.
Sharon's the best part of my life. From the time we met, there was this sense of inevitability.
We had our first date. It was a TU basketball game.
Felt like we'd kind of known each other forever.
So there's this immediate connection. So much so that was February. I worked for a couple more weekends waitressing, bought my own ring.
7 months later, we were married.
I started a company called 66 Degree North, and that was instrumental too in actually creating Grace Farms. So the idea did really germinate from this friend of mine who said space communicates. What could it do? Could it embed values into space? Could it be generative over 100 years? Design for Freedom emerged too from the building process. Design for Freedom is a movement to remove forced and child labor from the building material supply chain, thinking about how we can create more equity in the world, sustainability, address these issues. So we are both a cultural and a humanitarian center. We're taking on big human rights, really egregious issues of human rights violations that are dark and very hard to tackle, and we're doing it.
To use a small, tight-knit community, there are very few people who I passed by as a student here that I didn't know their first name. I think our city's the same way, right? We're trying to tackle these big issues like homelessness, or how we're gonna invest in kids, or how we're gonna build a strong economy, or how we're gonna make sure this community's safe. And we're trying to figure out all these things, but we're doing it together. The thing that has been a really eye-opening experience is how intertwined all the issues are. How intertwined homelessness is to education, to economic development, to public safety. But what we have to do is invest ourselves for long periods of time in some of the root cause issues, because they impact all those things. So for me, I think the work that we're doing right now by investing in young people, investing in vulnerable families, and helping them get to a better spot, it really is the foundations of building that American dream right here in the most American of all cities, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
When we were doing our design work for our product line, it became obvious to me how securely we needed to keep our drawings, our proprietary information. And TU already in the 80s and 90s had been establishing itself as a leading institution for cybersecurity research. We wanted to assist, we wanted to be part of that. We funded a couple of classrooms, a couple of laboratories. Lately, we've become equally interested in the robotics and research that TU is undertaking. We've invested what we can to help those programs along and hope that we can continue to stay involved.
I think it's incredible what the campus has done to push out and modernize the campus. When I was there, it was basically the U, a couple of dorms. That's my first memory, actually, of TU, is going into the dorm, and then the people that I met, the friends I made. And I was like, we need a pool table. But it can't just be, it's gotta be a good pool table. It's gotta be a slate pool table with leather pockets. I went to the administration and I said, can you finance half of this, and we'll finance the other half with revenues from parties and stuff. So we did that. It was a nice pool table, and when I go back to John Mabee, it's still there.
So we have a whole brand, Grace Farms Teas and Coffee. They also demonstrate what we're advocating for, ethical and sustainable supply chains. And now we're in Whole Foods. It's such a high bar. We're one of the only brands that give 100% back. All the profits go back into Design for Freedom and Grace Farms as a circular philanthropy model. I've always felt like the possibilities, again, were so endless. That I carry that with us as a big part of even what we're creating here, is knowing that the possibilities are endless, and there's a compounding effect of all of your experiences, what you're learning, your partners, and a lot of that started at TU.
I have a senior in high school now. There's not a greater thing that I've ever done in my life than invest my time and a whole lot of money into Gavin. But that's what we should be doing as a community. Not every kid has all the advantages that some kids might have, but let's level the playing field for them, and let's let them do great things, and let's make sure that they know that whatever opportunity they may want in their life, that they can find it right here.
These days, Sarah and I are very excited about the nonprofit that we formed a few years ago, Shining Honor Project, under our Shining Honor Foundation umbrella, that we honor our nation's veterans by providing meaningful work opportunities to adults with developmental challenges, in particular cleaning veterans' headstones.
I'm here at Bridgewater Associates. I've been here 39 years now, and co-CIO, mostly involved in markets, managing money, building strategies, and working with clients on applying those strategies to their circumstances.
What we've seen already is that when people come to Grace Farms, they do leave differently. And we've created a new kind of public place that interweaves nature, arts, justice, community, and faith. And it was opened about a decade ago. We're just celebrating our 10th anniversary.
So the greatest stories for me at TU were the stories of community, whether that be with my teammates, whether that be with my classmates, whether that be with professors that I know. That part of it that really led me to run for office here in Oklahoma, to serve as a legislator for 8 years, to serve as mayor now. Again, I mean, it all started here at the University of Tulsa, which is a real point of pride for me.
The faculty at TU, I think overall has been exceptional. One person in particular that has really stuck with me, Dr. Ben Henneke. I learned and gleaned from him, take the long view. Don't think that what you're going through has never happened before.
You know, follow your passion, follow what you're truly interested in, because you will be naturally drawn to that, and you will be naturally, work hard at it because it's fun to work hard in that area.
The one thing I would say is just aim as high as you can and say yes to every opportunity.
You don't have to be a mayor, you don't have to be a state legislator, you don't have to be a city councilor. You just got to be a person that's willing to put a hand out when somebody needs it. And I think that is the DNA of this university.
When I received the phone call asking if I would entertain being a Distinguished Alumni honoree, I was a little bit speechless, and I thought, surely I'm not the only one left. Too much of an honor to pass up. And we do get a complimentary dinner out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing honor to be recognized. It's like a thank you, right? And so I have a big thank you for TU and for Tulsa for getting me started.
It's definitely unexpected and so appreciated to even be thought of to be a distinguished alumni. Now you really made me think so much more about those fundamental opportunities that I had.
My life would be completely different right now if it wasn't for this university. So it's amazing to have the honor of being a distinguished alum. I showed up here and began writing my own story. And now, from 18-year-old kid who'd never been to Tulsa, that story starting there, to that story being now a distinguished alum and mayor of the city of Tulsa, can't write a better story than that.